Close your eyes and imagine stepping into the most beautiful garden you have ever seen. This garden exists inside your head. Right now, as you breathe slowly and deeply, this incredible landscape lives and grows within you. Your brain is not just an organ. It is a living garden. A place where billions of tiny flowers called neurons bloom in endless rows. Each neuron reaches out like a delicate plant, sending thin branches called dendrites into the soft space around it. These branches touch other branches. They whisper messages to each other. They share stories of everything you have ever felt, learned, or dreamed. In this moment, as you rest quietly, 86 billion neurons are working together inside your skull. That number is almost impossible to imagine. It is more than all the stars you can see in the night sky. More than all the grains of sand on your favorite beach. Each of these neurons is smaller than the tiniest seed, yet together they create the vast universe of your thoughts. The soil of this garden is made of something special. Scientists call it the extracellular matrix. You can think of it as the rich, dark earth that holds everything together. This soil is alive. It feeds your neurons. It carries away waste. It helps new connections grow strong and healthy. When you were born, this garden was already growing. But it was wild and unformed. Your neurons reached out in all directions, creating millions of random connections. It was like a forest where every tree tried to touch every other tree. Beautiful, but chaotic. Then something magical began to happen. As you experienced the world, certain pathways in your neural garden became more important than others. The connections you used grew stronger. They became like well-worn paths through the woods. The connections you did not need began to fade away, like old trails that disappear when no one walks on them. This process has a name. Scientists call it synaptic pruning. But you can think of it as the gentle work of a careful gardener. Your brain learned to keep the pathways that served you well. It let go of the ones that did not help you grow. Every time you learned something new, new connections bloomed. When you first heard your mother's voice, tiny neural flowers opened to remember that sound. When you learned to walk, pathways strengthened to help you balance. When you felt love, entire networks of neurons began to dance together in harmony. Your neural garden is always changing. Always growing. Always adapting to help you navigate the world. Scientists have a word for this amazing ability. They call it neuroplasticity. The plastic part does not mean your brain is made of plastic. It means your brain can be shaped and reshaped, like soft clay in gentle hands. This shaping never stops. Not when you are a child. Not when you become an adult. Not even now, as you listen to these words. Your brain continues to grow new connections throughout your entire life. New neurons can even be born in certain parts of your garden, like spring flowers pushing up through the earth after a long winter. In one special area of your brain called the hippocampus, new neurons bloom every single day. The hippocampus helps you form new memories. It helps you learn new things. It is like the greenhouse in your neural garden, where the newest and most delicate growth happens. The connections between your neurons are not solid like wires. They are fluid, living spaces called synapses. When one neuron wants to send a message to another, it releases tiny chemical messengers into this space. These chemicals float across the gap like pollen carried on a gentle breeze. When they reach the receiving neuron, the message is delivered. Your thoughts, your feelings, your memories are all made of these chemical messages floating between neurons. Right now, as you think about your neural garden, millions of these molecular messengers are dancing through the spaces in your mind. The most wonderful thing about your neural garden is that you can influence how it grows. The pathways you use most often become the strongest. If you practice kindness, the neural networks for compassion grow more robust. If you practice gratitude, the connections that help you notice good things become more powerful. Even difficult experiences can teach your garden to grow in new ways. When you face challenges, your neurons work together to find new solutions. They create alternative pathways. They build bridges around obstacles. They adapt and overcome. This is the miracle that lives inside your head. A garden of unimaginable complexity and beauty. A place where every thought blooms like a flower. Where every memory takes root like a tree. Where every dream reaches toward the light like a vine seeking the sun. As you rest here tonight, your neural garden continues its quiet work. Connections strengthen. New pathways form. Old patterns that no longer serve you begin to fade, making room for healthier growth. Your brain is taking care of you, even as you sleep. In the gentle darkness behind your closed eyes, billions of neurons pulse with soft electrical rhythms. They are writing the story of who you are becoming. They are preparing the soil for tomorrow's growth. They are tending the endless garden of your magnificent mind. But sometimes, storms pass through even the most beautiful gardens. Sometimes the earth shakes, and the landscape changes in ways we never expected. In the gentle garden of your mind, not every day brings sunshine and soft rain. Sometimes storms arrive without warning. Lightning flashes across the sky of your consciousness. Thunder shakes the very ground where your neurons grow. These storms have a name. We call them trauma. They can be as sudden as a car accident or as slow and persistent as years of hurt. They can be as visible as a physical injury or as invisible as words that cut deep into your heart. But every storm, large or small, leaves its mark on the landscape of your brain. When lightning strikes in your neural garden, something extraordinary happens. Your brain does not simply experience the moment and let it pass. Instead, it carves the memory deep into the earth of your mind. It writes the story of that storm into the very structure of your neurons. This is not a flaw in your brain's design. It is actually a gift, though it may not feel like one. Your brain remembers dangerous moments so clearly because it wants to protect you. If lightning strikes in the same place twice, your neurons want to be ready. They want to help you survive. The part of your brain that sounds the alarm during scary moments is called the amygdala. Picture it as a small, almond-shaped guard tower sitting deep in your neural garden. This guard never sleeps. It watches constantly for signs of danger. When it senses a threat, it floods your garden with powerful chemicals that make everything more intense, more memorable. During a storm, your amygdala releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These chemicals race through your neural pathways like flood water rushing through creek beds. They etch the memory of the storm deep into your mind. They make sure you will never forget what happened. The hippocampus, that greenhouse where new memories bloom, works overtime during traumatic moments. It stamps the experience with vivid details. The sound of screeching brakes. The smell of smoke. The feeling of your heart pounding against your ribs. Every sensation gets pressed into your memory like flowers preserved between the pages of a book. But here is something important to understand. When your brain is focused on surviving a crisis, it cannot always organize memories in the usual way. Normal memories have a beginning, middle, and end. They feel like stories with a clear timeline. Traumatic memories often get scattered like puzzle pieces across different parts of your brain. Some pieces land in the visual areas, storing what you saw. Other pieces settle in the parts that remember sounds, smells, or physical sensations. The emotional pieces find their way to the limbic system, where feelings live. These scattered fragments do not always connect properly with the storytelling parts of your brain. This is why traumatic memories can feel so strange. They might come back as sudden flashes of images, or unexpected waves of emotion that seem to have no cause, or physical sensations that appear out of nowhere. Your brain has all the pieces of the memory, but they are not filed away in the neat, organized manner of ordinary experiences. The pathways carved by trauma can be especially deep and lasting. Scientists have discovered that intense stress can actually change the physical structure of your neurons. It can make some connections stronger while weakening others. It can alter the way your neural networks communicate with each other. In the prefrontal cortex, the wise part of your brain that helps you think clearly and make good decisions, trauma can create disruptions. It is like having lightning damage the communication towers in your neural garden. Messages that should flow smoothly between different areas of your brain can get interrupted or delayed. The memory networks can become hypersensitive after trauma. Your brain might react to small reminders as if the original storm is happening all over again. A certain sound, smell, or sight can trigger your neural alarm system, even when you are perfectly safe. Your amygdala guard tower becomes so vigilant that it sometimes sounds false alarms. But your brain also has remarkable wisdom built into it. Even as trauma carves new channels in your neural landscape, other parts of your mind begin working to help you heal. Your brain does not want to stay stuck in survival mode forever. It wants to find its way back to peace. Some neurons begin growing new branches, reaching out to create alternative pathways around the damaged areas. Others work to strengthen the connections that help you feel calm and safe. Your brain starts building bridges over the deepest channels carved by trauma. The plastic nature of your neural garden means that even the deepest storm damage can eventually be repaired. New growth can emerge from the most wounded soil. Different pathways can learn to carry the messages that trauma disrupted. Your brain has an incredible capacity to adapt, to heal, to find new ways of thriving. This healing does not happen overnight. Just as a garden needs time to recover after a severe storm, your neural pathways need patience and care to rebuild themselves. But the same neuroplasticity that allowed trauma to change your brain also allows healing to reshape it once again. The channels carved by difficult experiences never completely disappear. They become part of your brain's unique landscape, like old riverbeds that mark where water once flowed. But new streams can learn to flow around them. Fresh growth can bloom along their edges. Your brain remembers trauma not to punish you, but to protect you. It carves these deep memories because it loves you enough to try to keep you safe from future storms. Even in its wounded state, your neural garden is working tirelessly on your behalf. As you rest here tonight, your brain continues this ancient dance between remembering and healing. It holds the memories of every storm you have weathered, while also nurturing the seeds of your recovery. In the quiet darkness, your neurons are already beginning to dream of new growth. But healing requires more than time alone. Deep within your neural garden, there lives an artist whose gentle hands know how to reshape even the most wounded landscape. Inside the quiet cathedral of your mind, there lives an artist you have never seen. This sculptor works without hands, without tools, without rest. Day and night, through every season of your life, this invisible craftsperson shapes and reshapes the landscape of your thoughts. The artist's name is Neuroplasticity. But you can think of it simply as the gentle force that never stops believing in your capacity to change, to grow, to heal from even the deepest wounds. Right now, as you breathe slowly and peacefully, this sculptor is at work. With each breath you take, fresh oxygen flows through tiny blood vessels in your brain. This oxygen feeds the delicate work of transformation happening in every corner of your neural garden. The sculptor does not work with stone or clay. Instead, it works with something far more precious. It sculpts with the living connections between your neurons. It carves new pathways through the soft tissue of possibility. It polishes the surfaces where thoughts meet feelings, where memories touch dreams. When trauma carved deep channels in your neural landscape, it might have seemed like the damage was permanent. But your inner artist saw something different. It saw those wounded places as raw material for something new. It began immediately to plan how those scars could become part of a more beautiful design. The sculptor works with incredible patience. It does not rush to erase the marks left by difficult experiences. Instead, it studies them carefully. It considers how to incorporate them into the larger masterpiece of who you are becoming. Sometimes the most beautiful art emerges from places that were once broken. Every time you choose kindness over anger, the sculptor strengthens the pathways of compassion in your brain. Every time you practice gratitude instead of focusing on what is missing, new neural connections bloom like flowers after rain. Every time you respond to fear with courage, your inner artist carves deeper channels for bravery to flow. The tools of this invisible sculptor are more varied than you might imagine. Sometimes it uses the gentle repetition of meditation to smooth rough edges in your thought patterns. Sometimes it employs the power of sleep to reorganize memories, filing them in more helpful places. Sometimes it draws on the healing energy of human connection to build bridges between isolated parts of your mind. One of the sculptor's most remarkable abilities is something scientists call synaptic pruning. Just as a gardener carefully removes dead branches to help a tree grow stronger, your brain eliminates neural connections that no longer serve you well. The pathways you used as a frightened child might be gently dismantled to make room for the wisdom pathways of your adult self. This pruning happens most actively while you sleep. As you rest peacefully tonight, your brain is quietly deciding which connections to keep and which to let go. It strengthens the neural networks that help you feel safe, loved, and capable. It allows the networks that kept you trapped in old patterns of fear or pain to gradually fade away. The sculptor also has the power to create entirely new neurons. In your hippocampus, that special greenhouse of memory and learning, fresh brain cells are born every single day. These newborn neurons are like blank canvases, ready to be painted with new experiences, new insights, new ways of understanding yourself and the world. Scientists once believed that adult brains could not grow new neurons. They thought the sculpture of your mind was finished by the time you reached adulthood. But research has revealed the beautiful truth. Your inner artist never stops creating. It continues to add new elements to the masterpiece throughout your entire life. The process of creating new brain cells is called neurogenesis. You can encourage this miraculous birth of neurons through simple, gentle practices. When you exercise, even just taking a peaceful walk, you send growth factors flowing through your brain like nutrients through garden soil. When you learn something new, whether it is a language, a skill, or simply a different way of thinking about an old problem, you provide your sculptor with fresh materials to work with. The sculptor is especially active during times of healing. When you engage in therapy, practice mindfulness, or simply spend quiet time reflecting on your experiences, you give your inner artist the space and resources it needs to work. The damaged pathways left by trauma begin to sprout new branches, reaching toward healthier connections. Sometimes the healing process can feel slow. You might wonder if the sculptor is really working at all. But this invisible artist operates on a different timeline than your conscious mind. While you sleep, while you daydream, while you go about your daily activities, profound changes are taking place beneath the surface of your awareness. The sculptor knows that true healing cannot be rushed. It understands that some of the most important work happens in the spaces between conscious effort. It continues its patient labor even when you cannot feel the changes occurring. Your brain's ability to rewire itself is strongest when you feel safe and supported. The sculptor works best in an atmosphere of gentle acceptance rather than harsh criticism. When you treat yourself with the same compassion you would offer a dear friend, you create the ideal conditions for neural transformation. The invisible artist also responds to the stories you tell yourself. When you repeat narratives of hopelessness or unchangeability, the sculptor's work becomes more difficult. But when you whisper to yourself that healing is possible, that growth can happen at any age, that you are more resilient than you know, the artist's hands move with renewed purpose and skill. Every moment of peace you experience, every breath of calm you take, every small act of self-care becomes part of the sculptor's raw material. Your inner artist gathers these moments like a craftsperson collecting precious stones, then weaves them into the growing tapestry of your healing brain. The cathedral of your skull holds space for this sacred work to continue. In the hushed reverence of your resting mind, the sculptor never pauses, never doubts, never gives up on the magnificent possibility of who you are becoming. As you sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, your inner artist prepares for the night's most important work. In the flowing streams of your dreams, old memories will be gently repositioned, like stones in a garden path. Beneath the surface of your conscious thoughts, a vast network of rivers flows through the landscape of your mind. These are not rivers of water, but rivers of memory. They carry the essence of every moment you have ever lived, every feeling you have ever felt, every lesson you have ever learned. Some of these memory rivers run swift and clear, carrying bright images of joy and love. Others move slowly through deeper channels, heavy with the sediment of sorrow or fear. All of them together create the unique geography of who you are. Your earliest memories flow like the headwaters of a great river system. They begin as tiny streams in the mountains of your infancy, fed by the first drops of experience. The warmth of your mother's embrace. The sound of a lullaby sung in the dark. The taste of milk on your tongue. These small tributaries join together, growing stronger as they flow toward the present moment. The hippocampus, that greenhouse of memory formation in your neural garden, acts like a great watershed. It gathers the scattered raindrops of daily experience and channels them into organized streams. It decides which memories deserve to become mighty rivers and which should remain as seasonal brooks that flow only when needed. But memory rivers do not simply record what happened. They are living, flowing systems that change as they move through time. Each time you remember something, you do not simply replay a recording. Instead, you reconstruct the memory from its component parts, like a river reassembling itself from many smaller streams. This reconstruction happens in the vast network of your neural pathways. Different aspects of a single memory are stored in different regions of your brain. The visual details live in your visual cortex. The sounds are kept in your auditory areas. The emotions flow through your limbic system. The story that connects all these pieces together is woven by your prefrontal cortex. When you remember, these scattered tributaries converge like waters meeting at a river junction. They flow together to create the full experience of recollection. But something remarkable happens during this process. The memory river picks up new minerals from the landscape it passes through. It is influenced by your current mood, your present circumstances, your newer understanding of the world. This means your memories are not fixed like photographs in an album. They are fluid like rivers, always in motion, always changing slightly as they flow through the terrain of your evolving mind. The memory of your first day of school today carries different emotional sediment than it did 10 years ago. Time has changed the course of that particular stream. Some memory rivers carve deep canyons in your neural landscape. These are often the memories that carry the strongest emotions. Moments of great joy create wide, welcoming valleys where pleasant thoughts can rest and flourish. Moments of trauma cut narrow, steep-walled gorges where painful memories rush past with overwhelming force. But even the deepest canyons can be changed by the patient work of time and healing. New tributaries can join the flow, adding fresh perspectives to old memories. Seasonal floods of insight can carve alternative channels around the most difficult passages. The landscape of memory is always capable of transformation. During sleep, something magical happens to your memory rivers. The normal rushing flow of conscious thought slows to a gentle trickle. In this quiet time, deeper currents become visible. Your brain begins the sacred work of memory consolidation. Like a master gardener tending to waterways, your sleeping brain redirects the flow of memory rivers. It strengthens the channels that carry useful information. It allows less important streams to fade into gentle meandering brooks. It connects previously separate waterways, creating new patterns of understanding. The most important memories are moved from the temporary storage of your hippocampus to the permanent archives of your cortex. This journey is like water flowing from a mountain spring to the vast ocean of long-term memory. Along the way, the essential elements are preserved while unnecessary details are filtered out. Your brain also uses sleep to create what scientists call memory integration. Separate experiences that happened at different times begin to flow together, revealing hidden connections. The memory of learning to ride a bicycle might join with the memory of your father's encouraging voice, creating a deeper understanding of how love supports growth. Sometimes traumatic memories create what feels like a flash flood in your neural landscape. These overwhelming torrents can carve chaotic channels that seem to bypass your usual systems of understanding and integration. The memory fragments rush through your mind without connecting to the larger story of your life. But even these turbulent waters can be gradually guided into more peaceful courses. Therapy, meditation, and other healing practices act like careful engineering work on your memory rivers. They create new spillways for overwhelming emotions. They build bridges over the deepest gorges. They redirect the flow toward more nourishing parts of your neural landscape. The beautiful truth about memory rivers is that they never stop flowing. Even the oldest, most established channels remain responsive to new currents of experience. A single moment of unexpected kindness can send fresh water flowing through long dry riverbeds of hope. A new understanding can redirect an entire river system toward healing. As you rest here tonight, your memory rivers continue their eternal journey through the landscape of your mind. They carry the sediment of today's experiences toward the vast delta where all your memories eventually flow together. In the quiet darkness, new channels are being carved, old ones are being healed, and the entire geography of your inner world is being gently, continuously renewed. The waters of memory know secrets that your waking mind has not yet discovered. They flow through hidden underground caverns where your deepest wisdom lives, waiting to be brought to the surface. But memory rivers do not flow alone through the landscape of your mind. They are tended and protected by faithful guardians who watch over every precious drop. In the quiet cathedral of your mind, your neurons do not live alone. They are surrounded by devoted caretakers who work tirelessly to keep them safe, nourished, and healthy. These microscopic guardians outnumber your neurons by nearly 10 to 1, yet they remain largely invisible to your conscious awareness. These faithful protectors have a scientific name. They are called glial cells, from the Greek word for glue. But they do far more than simply hold things together. They are the nurses, the housekeepers, the security guards, and the renovation specialists of your neural garden. Picture them as gentle spirits moving through the spaces between your thoughts. They wear robes of living membrane that shimmer with purpose. Their delicate fingers reach out constantly, touching, testing, tending to every aspect of your brain's intricate ecosystem. The largest family of these guardians are the astrocytes. Their name means star cells, and when you see them under a microscope, you understand why. Each one extends dozens of fine branches in all directions, creating a star-like pattern that sparkles with microscopic beauty. These stellar caretakers wrap their protective arms around your neurons like mothers embracing their children. Astrocytes do something remarkable. They form what scientists call the blood-brain barrier. Imagine a selective membrane that allows only the purest nutrients to reach your precious neural tissue. Like careful gatekeepers at the entrance to a sacred garden, astrocytes examine every molecule that tries to enter your brain. They welcome oxygen, glucose, and other essential nutrients while turning away toxins and harmful substances. These star-shaped guardians also maintain the perfect chemical environment for your neurons to thrive. They regulate the levels of important molecules in the spaces between brain cells. When your neurons fire electrical signals, they release potassium ions that could disrupt nearby cells. But astrocytes quickly absorb this excess potassium, like careful gardeners removing weeds before they can spread. During times of stress or trauma, astrocytes transform into protective warriors. They multiply rapidly, forming defensive barriers around injured neural tissue. They release healing chemicals that encourage repair and growth. They work tirelessly to create safe spaces where damaged neurons can recover and new connections can form. Another family of guardians are the microglia, the immune cells of your brain. These microscopic protectors patrol your neural pathways like vigilant sentries. They have an extraordinary ability to sense when something is wrong. Their delicate sensors can detect the smallest signs of damage, infection, or inflammation. When microglia discover injured or diseased tissue, they spring into action. They engulf and digest harmful debris, clearing away the wreckage so that healthy tissue can flourish. They are like gentle cleanup crews working after a storm, removing fallen branches and debris to help the garden grow strong again. But microglia do something even more remarkable during your brain's healing process. They help to prune away neural connections that are no longer needed. Like skilled gardeners who know which branches to trim for optimal growth, microglia carefully dismantle old pathways that no longer serve your well-being. This pruning process is especially active during sleep and meditation. As you rest peacefully tonight, millions of microglia are gently removing the neural connections that carried old patterns of fear, anger, or pain. They work with the wisdom of experienced gardeners, knowing exactly which pathways to preserve and which to compost into the rich soil of possibility. The oligodendrocytes are another family of tender guardians. These specialized cells have a unique and beautiful purpose. They wrap your neural pathways in protective sheaths of a substance called myelin. Think of myelin as silk scarves wound carefully around the long branches of your neurons. This myelin wrapping serves two important functions. First, it protects your neural pathways like insulation around electrical wires. Second, it dramatically speeds up the transmission of signals along your neurons. Messages that might crawl slowly through unwrapped pathways can race along myelinated ones at incredible speeds. The process of wrapping neurons in myelin continues throughout your life, but it is especially active during times of learning and healing. When you practice new skills or develop healthier thought patterns, oligodendrocytes respond by laying down fresh myelin around those pathways. They strengthen the neural highways that support your growth and well-being. These guardian cells have their own mysterious intelligence. They communicate with each other through chemical signals that create a kind of cellular internet throughout your brain. When one area needs help, guardians from distant regions can sense the call and respond. They coordinate their efforts like a well-trained team of emergency responders. During trauma, some of these guardian cells can become overprotective. Like parents who have seen their child hurt, they may create excessive barriers or inflammatory responses that sometimes interfere with healing. But other guardian cells work to calm these overreactions, restoring balance and promoting recovery. The guardians also play a crucial role in the birth of new neurons. They create supportive scaffolding that guides newly born brain cells to their proper destinations. They provide growth factors and nutrients that help these infant neurons mature into fully functioning members of your neural community. Perhaps most remarkably, these microscopic caretakers respond to your conscious choices. When you practice meditation, exercise, or engage in therapy, you send signals throughout your brain that activate and energize your guardian cells. They work more efficiently when you treat yourself with kindness and compassion. The tender guardians know secrets about healing that your conscious mind is only beginning to understand. They can sense the difference between neural pathways that serve your highest good and those that keep you trapped in old patterns of suffering. They work patiently and persistently to shift the balance toward health and wholeness. As you sink deeper into the peaceful embrace of sleep, these devoted caretakers begin their most important work of the day. In the quiet hours when your conscious mind rests, they repair, restore, and renovate the neural pathways that will carry you into tomorrow's possibilities. Your guardian cells understand something profound about the nature of healing. They know that true recovery happens not through force or urgency, but through the gentle, persistent application of care and attention to each precious moment of growth. But even the most devoted guardians need support in their sacred work. There are practices and choices that can nourish these microscopic healers, giving them the strength and resources they need to tend your neural garden with ever greater skill and compassion. Chapter 6, Bridges built from breath. With each mindful moment, each conscious breath, you become an architect of your own neural landscape. The pathways of calm grow stronger under your gentle attention, while the highways of worry slowly overgrow with peaceful wildflowers. Right now, as you lie quietly in the gentle darkness, you are performing a miracle so simple that you barely notice it happening. You are breathing. With each slow inhale and exhale, you are not only bringing life to your body, but also building bridges in your mind. Your breath is more than just air moving in and out of your lungs. It is a tool of transformation, a gentle force that can reshape the very architecture of your neural pathways. Each conscious breath you take sends ripples of change through the landscape of your brain. When you breathe slowly and deliberately, something beautiful happens in your nervous system. The rhythm of your breath begins to synchronize with the rhythm of your heart. This harmony creates what scientists call coherence, a state where all the systems of your body work together like musicians in a perfectly tuned orchestra. Deep in your brainstem, there lives a small collection of neurons called the respiratory center. These cells control the automatic rhythm of your breathing. But here is the remarkable thing: you can choose to take control of this usually unconscious process. When you decide to breathe slowly and mindfully, you become the conductor of your own neural symphony. As you slow your breathing, you activate something called the parasympathetic nervous system. Think of this as your body's natural relaxation response. It is like having a gentle gardener who knows exactly how to tend the most delicate flowers in your neural garden. This system sends soothing signals throughout your brain, encouraging the growth of pathways associated with peace and healing. The parasympathetic nervous system has a special messenger called the vagus nerve. This long, wandering nerve connects your brain to your heart, your lungs, and your digestive system. When you breathe slowly and deeply, you strengthen this nerve's ability to carry messages of calm throughout your entire body. Scientists have discovered that people who practice regular conscious breathing actually develop thicker vagus nerves. Like a muscle that grows stronger with exercise, this crucial pathway becomes more robust with gentle, consistent use. A strong vagus nerve helps you recover more quickly from stress and remain centered during difficult times. Each time you take a slow, intentional breath, you are laying down fresh neural pathways in your brain. The networks that support mindfulness and awareness grow stronger. The connections that help you notice the present moment become more vivid and accessible. You are literally rewiring your brain toward greater peace. The prefrontal cortex, that wise part of your brain behind your forehead, responds especially well to conscious breathing. This region helps you make thoughtful decisions, regulate your emotions, and see situations clearly. When you breathe with awareness, you send extra oxygen and nutrients to these important neural networks. Mindful breathing also influences the amygdala, that small guard tower in your brain that watches for danger. When you breathe slowly and peacefully, you send gentle signals to your amygdala that all is well. You teach it that this moment is safe, that it can relax its vigilant watch and allow your system to rest. Over time, regular practice of conscious breathing creates what neuroscientists call structural changes in your brain. The areas associated with attention and emotional regulation actually grow larger. The regions linked to anxiety and reactivity become less active. Your brain physically reshapes itself to support greater calm and clarity. But the magic of breath extends beyond just the mechanics of neural change. When you breathe with awareness, you create a bridge between your conscious mind and the deeper wisdom of your body. You begin to access information that your thinking mind alone cannot reach. Your breath carries messages from your unconscious self. Sometimes these messages arrive as subtle shifts in your emotional state. Sometimes they appear as gentle insights about your life or relationships. Sometimes they simply bring a sense of peace that has no words attached to it. Ancient wisdom traditions have long understood what modern science is now confirming. The breath is a doorway to transformation. It is a simple practice that anyone can use, anywhere, at any time. No special equipment is needed. No complex techniques must be mastered. Just the gentle awareness of air flowing in and out of your body. When you first begin to practice mindful breathing, you might notice that your mind wanders frequently. This is completely natural. Your brain has spent years strengthening the pathways of distraction and worry. It will take time and patience to build new highways toward peace. Each time you notice that your attention has drifted and gently bring it back to your breath, you are performing a small miracle of neuroplasticity. You are weakening the old patterns while strengthening the new ones. You are choosing which neural pathways will grow strong and which will gradually fade away. The beauty of working with your breath is that it requires no force or strain. Unlike some practices that demand intense effort, conscious breathing invites you to simply rest your attention on something that is already happening. You are not trying to breathe differently. You are simply choosing to notice how you already breathe. As you continue to practice, you may find that the benefits extend far beyond the moments when you are actively paying attention to your breath. The neural changes you create during mindful breathing begin to influence your entire way of being in the world. You may find yourself naturally more patient, more present, more able to respond rather than react to life's challenges. Your breath becomes an anchor in the storms of daily life. When emotions feel overwhelming, you can return to this simple practice. When thoughts race frantically through your mind, you can find refuge in the steady rhythm of inhaling and exhaling. When the world feels chaotic, you can discover peace in the space between breaths. The pathways you build through conscious breathing also support your brain's natural healing processes. The same neural networks that help you stay present and calm also facilitate the integration of difficult memories. They create the optimal conditions for your inner sculptor to do its most delicate work. Scientists have found that people who practice mindful breathing show increased activity in areas of the brain associated with empathy and compassion. As you learn to offer gentle attention to your own breath, you naturally develop greater kindness toward yourself and others. The bridges you build in your own neural landscape somehow make it easier to build bridges with the people around you. Tonight, as you rest in the quiet embrace of sleep, your breath continues its faithful work. Even without your conscious attention, it maintains the gentle rhythm that supports life and healing. The neural pathways you have strengthened through mindful breathing continue to grow and flourish in the fertile darkness of your resting mind. But breath is just one of many messengers that carry healing through the intricate networks of your brain. In the delicate chemistry of your thoughts, other remarkable substances are working their own quiet magic. In the quiet spaces between your neurons, a microscopic ballet unfolds every moment of your life. Tiny dancers called neurotransmitters leap gracefully from one nerve cell to another, carrying messages that shape your moods, your memories, and your capacity for healing. These molecular messengers are writing the chemistry of your comfort, one gentle interaction at a time. Imagine these neurotransmitters as luminous fireflies floating through the twilight garden of your mind. Each one glows with a different color, carries a different message, creates a different feeling when it lands softly on the receiving branches of your neurons. Together, they create a symphony of light and sensation that orchestrates the music of your inner experience. One of the most important of these chemical messengers is serotonin. You can picture serotonin as golden fireflies that carry feelings of contentment and well-being. When serotonin flows abundantly through your neural pathways, the world feels brighter, more manageable, more full of possibility. These golden messengers help you feel connected to others and satisfied with life's simple pleasures. About 90% of your body's serotonin is actually made in your gut, not in your brain. This remarkable fact reveals the deep connection between your physical and emotional well-being. When you eat nourishing foods, practice gentle movement, or spend time in sunlight, you are feeding the production of these golden messengers of joy. Another family of chemical dancers are the endorphins. These molecules earned their name because they are your body's natural morphine, created within your own neural pharmacy. Endorphins appear like silver fireflies that carry messages of relief and natural euphoria. They are released during exercise, laughter, and moments of deep connection with others. When you experience physical or emotional pain, your brain responds by releasing these silver messengers. They bind to special receptors in your neurons, creating a gentle numbing effect that helps you cope with difficulty. But endorphins do more than just mask pain. They also promote feelings of pleasure and well-being that can lift your spirits even in challenging times. The neurotransmitter dopamine dances through your brain like copper-colored fireflies carrying messages of motivation and reward. These molecular messengers help you feel excited about the future and motivated to pursue your goals. They create the spark of anticipation that makes learning new things feel rewarding and helps you celebrate small victories along your healing journey. Dopamine is released not just when you achieve something wonderful, but also when you simply anticipate that something good might happen. This means that hope itself is a chemical experience in your brain. When you imagine a brighter future or look forward to tomorrow's possibilities, copper fireflies of dopamine begin to dance through your neural pathways. GABA is perhaps the most soothing of all your brain's chemical messengers. These appear as soft blue fireflies that carry messages of calm and relaxation. GABA is your nervous system's natural brake pedal, helping to slow down excessive neural activity and create feelings of peace. When GABA levels are balanced, your mind feels steady and serene. Many of the practices that support healing also enhance GABA production. Deep breathing, gentle yoga, meditation, and spending time in nature all encourage your brain to release more of these calming blue messengers. They help quiet the overactive pathways that trauma may have created while strengthening the neural networks that support tranquility. Oxytocin is often called the love hormone, and you can imagine it as rose-colored fireflies that carry messages of connection and trust. These tender messengers are released during moments of physical affection, when you pet an animal, when you feel deeply understood by another person, or even when you practice self-compassion. Oxytocin helps heal the isolation that trauma often creates. Research has shown that oxytocin actually promotes neuroplasticity, making it easier for your brain to form new, healthier patterns. When rose-colored messengers of connection dance through your neural pathways, they create optimal conditions for the growth of resilience and emotional flexibility. Your brain also produces a remarkable substance called BDNF, which stands for brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as emerald fireflies that carry messages of growth and renewal. These special messengers act like fertilizer for your neurons, encouraging them to sprout new branches and form fresh connections. BDNF is especially important for healing from trauma because it supports the growth of new neural pathways that can bypass damaged areas. When you engage in activities that increase BDNF production, such as exercise, learning new skills, or practicing mindfulness, you are essentially feeding your brain's capacity to regenerate and heal. The beautiful truth about your brain's chemistry is that you have more influence over these molecular messengers than you might imagine. Your thoughts, your choices, your daily practices all send signals that can increase or decrease the production of different neurotransmitters. You are not just a passive recipient of your brain chemistry. You are an active participant in creating it. When you practice gratitude, you encourage the release of serotonin and dopamine. When you engage in gentle physical movement, you promote the production of endorphins and BDNF. When you spend time with loved ones or practice self-kindness, you increase oxytocin levels. When you breathe deeply or meditate, you enhance GABA production. Even your sleep plays a crucial role in balancing these chemical messengers. During the deep stages of sleep, your brain works to restore optimal levels of neurotransmitters. It clears away the metabolic waste that can interfere with healthy neural communication. It fine-tunes the delicate balance of chemicals that will support your emotional well-being when you wake. Sometimes, trauma can disrupt the natural balance of these molecular dancers. The constant stress of difficult experiences may deplete serotonin stores or create excessive adrenaline. The pathways that normally produce calming GABA may become less efficient. But the remarkable plasticity of your brain means that these imbalances can be gently corrected over time. Your neural chemistry is constantly shifting, responding to your experiences, your environment, and your conscious choices. Unlike the fixed chemical formulas you might remember from school, the chemistry of your brain is fluid, dynamic, alive with possibility. Each moment offers a new opportunity to influence the dance of molecules in your mind. The messengers of healing know how to find their way to even the most wounded corners of your neural landscape. They carry light into the darkest channels carved by trauma. They whisper encouragement to neurons that have forgotten how to connect with joy. They plant seeds of hope in the most barren patches of your inner garden. As you rest here tonight, these tiny dancers continue their eternal choreography in the spaces between your thoughts. They are working to restore balance, to promote healing, to prepare your mind for tomorrow's new possibilities. In the gentle darkness of your sleeping brain, the chemistry of comfort flows like a river of light. But these molecular messengers do not work alone in their healing mission. Like the seasons that cycle through a garden, your brain too moves through natural rhythms of growth and renewal, each phase bringing its own gifts to the journey of transformation. Your neural garden does not remain the same throughout your life. Like the forests that surround mountain lakes, your brain moves through gentle seasons of change. Each season brings its own gifts, its own purposes, its own quiet wisdom about the nature of growth and renewal. In the autumn of old patterns, your brain begins the sacred work of letting go. Neural pathways that once carried fear, anger, or pain start to lose their leaves. These connections, which may have served you during difficult times, gradually become less active. Like trees preparing for winter, they release what they no longer need. This neural autumn happens through a process scientists call synaptic weakening. When you stop using certain thought patterns repeatedly, the connections that supported them begin to fade. The bridges between neurons that once carried worry become less traveled. The highways of old habits start to close down lanes, then entire sections. But this letting go is not loss. It is wisdom. Your brain understands that holding onto every neural pathway would create chaos. Like a gardener who knows which branches to prune for optimal growth, your mind selectively weakens the connections that no longer serve your well-being. You can encourage this neural autumn by gently withdrawing your attention from thoughts and behaviors that cause suffering. Each time you choose not to replay a painful memory, you allow those neural pathways to grow a little weaker. Each time you resist the urge to engage in self-criticism, you help those harsh voices fade into the background of your mind. The winter of your synapses is a time of rest and restoration. During deep sleep, your brain enters a profound state of renewal. The glial cells, those tender guardians you met earlier, work overtime to clear away the debris of old connections. They sweep the pathways clean, removing the molecular waste that can interfere with healthy neural communication. This neural winter is not empty or barren. It is full of potential. Like seeds sleeping beneath snow, new possibilities rest quietly in the spaces between your thoughts. Your brain uses this time of apparent stillness to reorganize itself, to prepare for the growth that will come with spring. Scientists have discovered that during sleep, your brain actually shrinks slightly, creating more space between neurons. This allows cerebrospinal fluid to flow more freely through your neural tissue, washing away toxins and delivering fresh nutrients. It is like a gentle snowfall that blankets the landscape, protecting and nourishing what lies beneath. Then comes the spring of new connections. As you begin to practice healthier thought patterns, fresh neural pathways start to sprout. These tender new synapses are like the first green shoots pushing up through thawing earth. They are delicate at first, requiring gentle care and consistent attention to grow strong. Each time you choose compassion over judgment, you water these emerging pathways of kindness. Each time you practice gratitude instead of focusing on what is wrong, you give sunshine to the neural networks of appreciation. Each time you respond to difficulty with curiosity rather than reactivity, you help the synapses of wisdom take deeper root. The spring of your mind is especially visible during times of healing and learning. When you engage in therapy, meditation, or other transformative practices, you can almost feel the new growth happening. Ideas that once seemed impossible begin to feel natural. Emotions that once overwhelmed you become manageable. Behaviors that once felt automatic start to feel like conscious choices. This neural spring brings with it the phenomenon of what researchers call activity-dependent plasticity. The connections you use most frequently during this season of growth become the strongest. They develop thicker myelin sheaths, more efficient neurotransmitter release, more robust structural support. They become the well-worn paths of your transformed mind. The summer of established patterns is when your new neural pathways reach full maturity. The healthy connections you have been nurturing become the dominant highways of your thoughts and feelings. The skills you have been practicing become second nature. The wisdom you have been cultivating becomes an integral part of who you are. But even in this neural summer, growth does not stop. Your brain continues to fine-tune these established connections, making them more efficient and responsive. It is like a mature garden where the flowers bloom more beautifully each year, where the fruit grows sweeter with each season. The remarkable truth is that your brain can experience all of these seasons simultaneously. While some neural networks are in their autumn of letting go, others may be in their spring of new growth. While certain pathways rest in winter dormancy, others flourish in summer abundance. Your mind is like a vast ecosystem where different regions experience different seasons at different times. This is why healing rarely happens all at once. Instead, it unfolds gradually, like a forest awakening from winter. First, a few buds appear on the branches. Then more join them. Slowly, leaf by leaf, the entire landscape transforms. Some areas green up quickly. Others take more time. But eventually, the whole forest comes alive with new possibility. The seasons of your synapses also respond to the rhythms of your daily life. Morning often brings the spring energy of fresh possibilities. Afternoon may offer the summer abundance of peak performance. Evening can provide the autumn wisdom of reflection and release. Night gives you the winter gift of restoration and renewal. Understanding these neural seasons can help you work with your brain's natural rhythms rather than against them. When you notice old patterns beginning to weaken, you can trust the process rather than fighting to hold on to what is leaving. When you feel new connections starting to form, you can nurture them with patience and consistency. Sometimes trauma can disrupt these natural seasons, causing your brain to get stuck in perpetual winter or to skip directly from autumn to summer without the necessary spring of new growth. But even disrupted seasons can be gently guided back into their natural rhythm through care, attention, and time. The cycles of your neural seasons teach a profound lesson about the nature of change. Nothing in your brain remains fixed forever. The patterns that cause suffering will eventually weaken and fade. The connections that support well-being will grow stronger and more established. This is not wishful thinking. It is the fundamental nature of how your brain works. As you rest here tonight, all the seasons of your synapses continue their eternal dance. Old patterns release their grip like autumn leaves falling gently to the ground. New possibilities sleep peacefully like seeds beneath winter snow. Fresh connections prepare to bloom like spring flowers reaching toward the light. But beyond the mountains of old patterns and the valleys of new growth, your neural pathways are already reaching toward something even more wonderful. On the far horizon of your healing mind, the dawn of complete transformation begins to glow with quiet promise. Stand at the highest peak of your awareness and look out across the landscape of your mind. Behind you stretch the familiar territories you have traveled together. The neural garden where billions of neurons bloom. The rivers of memory flowing through deep channels. The seasons of change cycling through your synapses. All of this rich terrain lies in the comfortable distance of understanding. But ahead of you, something magnificent opens up. The horizon of hope stretches endlessly before you, painted in colors that have no names. This is not a destination you will reach someday. This is a direction your healing mind is always moving toward, a constant beckoning toward greater wholeness and peace. Scientists who study the brain have discovered something beautiful about human neural networks. Unlike the fixed circuits of computers, your brain is designed for infinite possibility. Every pathway that exists can be modified. Every connection that forms can be strengthened or gently released. Every pattern that emerges can evolve into something more helpful, more loving, more aligned with your deepest wisdom. This capacity for endless growth is called open-ended plasticity. Your brain does not have a preset limit on how much it can heal, how much it can learn, how much it can transform. The horizon of your potential healing stretches beyond anything you can currently imagine. What feels impossible today may become natural tomorrow. The pathways that lead toward this horizon are not carved in stone. They are living trails that grow stronger each time you walk upon them. Every moment of choosing kindness over harshness creates a small footprint on the path of compassion. Every instant of choosing presence over worry deepens the trail toward inner peace. Every breath of choosing hope over despair widens the highway toward healing. Research in neuroscience has revealed that the brain regions associated with empathy and self-compassion can be dramatically strengthened through practice. The insula, a brain area that helps you sense your internal state with kindness, can actually grow larger through meditation and mindful attention. The anterior cingulate cortex, which supports emotional regulation and empathy, becomes more active and interconnected as you practice treating yourself and others with gentleness. But perhaps the most remarkable discovery is that your brain has specialized networks for hope itself. The prefrontal cortex works together with the limbic system to create what researchers call prospective thinking. This is your mind's ability to imagine positive futures, to envision healing, to hold space for possibilities that do not yet exist in your current reality. When you practice hope, you are not engaging in wishful thinking. You are activating real neural networks that have the power to influence your present moment and shape your future experiences. Hope changes your brain chemistry, increasing levels of dopamine and serotonin that support motivation and well-being. Hope strengthens the neural pathways that help you notice opportunities and take positive action. The horizon of hope is not a place of denial or false optimism. It acknowledges the reality of pain while refusing to believe that pain is the final word. It recognizes the depth of wounds while trusting in the deeper capacity for healing. It sees the present challenges while maintaining vision for future transformation. Your brain's default mode network, the neural system that is active when your mind wanders, can be trained to wander toward hope rather than worry. Instead of automatically replaying past traumas or imagining future catastrophes, this network can learn to rest in possibilities for growth, connection, and peace. This shift happens gradually, through the gentle repetition of hopeful attention. The trails toward your horizon of hope are marked by what neuroscientists call positive neuroplasticity. This is your brain's ability to install beneficial experiences in your neural structure. When you take time to fully absorb moments of safety, love, accomplishment, or joy, you help these experiences become part of your brain's permanent landscape. You literally build hope into your neural architecture. Each positive experience, no matter how small, creates what researchers describe as implicit memory. Unlike explicit memories that you can consciously recall, implicit memories become part of the background sense of who you are. When you repeatedly experience and absorb moments of kindness, safety, or capability, these feelings become woven into your neural fabric. They create an underlying sense of optimism and resilience that supports you even when you are not consciously thinking hopeful thoughts. The horizon of hope also includes the recognition that you are not walking these trails alone. Your brain contains specialized neurons called mirror neurons that resonate with the experiences of others. When you witness someone else's healing, your own neural pathways for recovery are activated. When you see examples of resilience and transformation, your brain begins to map similar possibilities for your own life. This is why stories of healing can be so powerful. When you hear about someone who has overcome trauma, recovered from depression, or found peace after years of struggle, your mirror neurons fire as if you are experiencing that recovery yourself. Your brain begins to create neural templates for similar transformation in your own life. The communities you choose to be part of, the books you read, the conversations you engage in, all contribute to the neural pathways that lead toward your horizon of hope. Your brain is constantly absorbing patterns from your environment and using them to update its maps of what is possible. Surrounding yourself with examples of healing and growth literally rewires your mind toward greater optimism. But the most important trail toward your horizon of hope is the one carved by your own daily choices. Each time you treat yourself with the kindness you would offer a dear friend, you strengthen the neural networks of self-compassion. Each time you choose to see a setback as information rather than failure, you build the pathways of resilience. Each time you practice gratitude for small blessings, you expand the territories of contentment in your mind. The horizon of hope is not about perfection or the absence of difficulty. It is about developing an unshakable trust in your capacity to meet whatever arises with growing wisdom and grace. It is about knowing, at the deepest level of your neural networks, that healing is not only possible but inevitable when approached with patience and love. Scientists have found that people who maintain hope in the face of adversity show increased activity in brain regions associated with problem-solving and creativity. Hope does not just make you feel better. It actually makes you more capable of finding solutions, adapting to challenges, and creating positive change in your life and relationships. The beautiful truth is that every step you take toward your horizon of hope makes the next step easier. Neural pathways become more efficient with use. The thoughts and behaviors that support healing become more automatic. What once required tremendous effort gradually becomes a natural way of being. As you rest here tonight, your neural pathways continue to stretch toward that bright horizon. In your dreams, your mind practices new possibilities. In your sleep, your brain consolidates the gains you have made and prepares for tomorrow's journey toward greater wholeness. The horizon of hope is both infinitely distant and intimately present. It lives in this very moment, in this very breath, in the quiet miracle of a mind that never stops believing in its own capacity for renewal. Tomorrow's light already glimmers on the edge of your sleeping consciousness, carrying with it the promise of new patterns awakening within the vast possibility of your transformed mind. In the gentle hours before dawn, something beautiful is always beginning in the landscape of your mind. While your body rests in the embrace of sleep, your neural pathways are writing the first chapters of tomorrow's possibilities. New patterns of thought and feeling are stirring like the first birds that sense the coming light. This is the sacred time when your brain performs its most delicate work of transformation. In the deep stages of sleep, waves of electrical activity sweep through your neural tissue like gentle tides. These slow waves carry away the debris of yesterday's experiences while strengthening the connections that will serve your highest good. Scientists call this process memory consolidation, but you can think of it as the brain's way of composing poetry from the scattered words of daily life. Your mind takes the fragments of each day and weaves them into a coherent story, deciding which experiences deserve permanent places in the library of your memory and which can be allowed to fade into the background. During REM sleep, when your most vivid dreams unfold, your brain becomes a master storyteller. It creates narratives that help you process difficult emotions, integrate new learning, and imagine creative solutions to ongoing challenges. These dream stories are not random chaos. They are your mind's way of rehearsing new patterns of thinking and feeling. The prefrontal cortex, that wise conductor of your neural orchestra, works throughout the night to organize and reorganize your mental landscape. It strengthens the pathways that lead to emotional balance, clear thinking, and compassionate responses. It gradually weakens the connections that once carried you toward reactivity, fear, or despair. Each night of healing sleep is like having a patient gardener tend to your neural pathways. This invisible caretaker prunes away the overgrown branches of old trauma responses. It waters the tender shoots of new coping skills. It clears the pathways where wisdom and love can flow more freely through your awakening mind. The hippocampus, that greenhouse where memories bloom, works especially hard during these quiet hours. It sorts through the day's experiences, deciding which moments contain seeds of growth and which can be composted into the rich soil of general learning. The memories that support your healing journey are carefully transplanted into the permanent gardens of your long-term memory. But the most remarkable work happens in the spaces between your neurons. Here, the glial cells, those tender guardians you have come to know, perform their nightly renovation. They repair damaged neural pathways. They strengthen healthy connections. They clear away the molecular waste that can cloud clear thinking and peaceful feeling. This cellular housekeeping is guided by an ancient wisdom that knows exactly what your healing mind needs. These microscopic caretakers can sense which neural networks deserve extra support and which old patterns are ready to be gently dismantled. They work with the precision of master craftspeople, sculpting your brain toward greater resilience and joy. As the first hints of dawn approach, your brain begins to prepare for waking consciousness. The neurons that have been resting start to stir with gentle activity. The neurotransmitters that create feelings of alertness and well-being begin to flow more abundantly through your neural pathways. Your mind readies itself to meet the day with whatever wisdom it has cultivated through the night. This transition from sleep to waking is a daily miracle of renewal. Each morning, you emerge with a brain that is subtly but importantly different from the one that fell asleep the night before. The patterns that support your healing have grown stronger. The connections that serve your peace have become more established. The pathways that lead toward love have been cleared and widened. Sometimes these changes are so gradual that you might not notice them consciously. Healing often happens in increments too small to measure with your everyday awareness. But your neural networks are keeping track of every small improvement, every tiny shift toward greater wholeness and well-being. The new patterns emerging in your brain are not random or chaotic. They follow the deep intelligence of life itself, always moving toward greater balance, connection, and harmony. Your mind has an innate wisdom that knows how to heal, just as your body knows how to repair a cut or mend a broken bone. These dawning patterns reflect the choices you have been making, the practices you have been following, the attitudes you have been cultivating. Every moment of mindfulness, every breath of compassion, every choice of courage over fear has been building toward this slow transformation of your neural landscape. The beauty of this process is that it never stops. Tonight, as you sleep, the work will continue. Tomorrow night, it will happen again. Each cycle of rest and renewal brings you closer to the full expression of your healed and whole self. There is no finish line to cross, no final destination to reach. There is only this eternal process of becoming more fully who you are meant to be. Your brain's capacity for positive change is literally unlimited. Scientists have discovered that even people in their 80s and 90s can form new neural connections, learn new skills, and develop greater emotional resilience. The plasticity that allows healing exists throughout your entire lifetime, a constant invitation to growth and transformation. The patterns that are dawning in your mind right now may surprise you. They might bring a greater capacity for forgiveness than you thought possible. They might reveal a depth of courage you did not know you possessed. They might open doorways to creativity, love, or wisdom that have been waiting patiently for their moment to bloom. As you rest here in this quiet space between sleeping and waking, you can almost sense these new patterns stirring in the depths of your consciousness. They are like seeds that have been planted in the fertile darkness of your healing mind, now beginning to push their first tender shoots toward the light of awareness. The work that has been happening in your brain throughout this gentle journey together is real and lasting. The neural pathways you have been strengthening through understanding, compassion, and hope will continue to carry you forward long after these words fade into memory. They have become part of the permanent architecture of your transformed mind. In the growing light of dawn, your consciousness prepares to embrace another day of being human, of facing whatever challenges and opportunities await. But now you carry within you the profound knowledge that your brain is always working on your behalf, always growing toward greater healing, always writing new chapters in the endless story of your becoming. The dawn of new patterns is not just a metaphor. It is the daily reality of a mind that has remembered its capacity for transformation. It is the quiet miracle that lives within every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of your beautifully changing life. And in this dawning awareness, you discover that the journey of healing is not a destination to reach, but a way of being that embraces both the darkness of what has been and the infinite light of what is forever becoming possible.